Everyone, Nate Zeisler here with a follow up to the blog post that I wrote today about finding what an hour of your time is worth. So I just wanted to give you a how to tutorial here, which is pretty straightforward, but might help you to think about how you pull this together and just to give you some things to think about after it's all taken care of, after you go through the process. So you see here there are directions, pretty straightforward. Most important is that I'm not going to do it now, but I'll show you how to do it. You click File, and you go down and you say Make a Copy. And when you do that, it will enable you to make a copy for yourself to save on your own hard drive rather than filling this out on my hard drive and for everybody else to see who clicks on the link on the blog post. So make sure you do that first and foremost. Okay, second thing you need to do is collect all of your payment information. So hopefully you've done that now. All pay stubs for the last 12 months. That's going to be helpful as we fill in the information down here. And then we're looking to fill all of these areas over here on the left with information. These areas on the right are not going to be filled in, and you'll see why in a moment. And so let's get started. So I've created some fictional jobs. The first one we'll just call the USA Symphony Orchestra. Just leave it like that. The next is a desk job that you have at a, we'll call it arts admin at a local community school. Private teaching, web design, and you play in a local pops orchestra. Okay, so the trick is to go through each job that you have and paint a picture of all the information or with all of the information that you have, so we can paint a picture that gives us a real sense of how much you're actually making on the job. So for the USA Symphony Orchestra, this is a job that you love. So there's a drop-down menu here, which should work. I don't know why it's not. There we go. You click yes. You have been offered a salary of $10,000 for the year. And when you do this, you want to zero out the other areas. So you have a choice between putting a salary in or an hourly rate. Whichever one you don't put in, you want to clear out that cell altogether. That way the formulas over on the right-hand side will work. So you work 10 hours, or you work 10 weeks a year. There are 10 Masterworks series. At each of those 10 weeks, you work 12 hours per week. And we're going to say that you have additional job prep for practicing and travel of about 7 hours a week. So what that does is it spits out the total hours that you've worked for the year, your hourly rate, the amount we take out for taxes, which is an estimate, but it's somewhere in the ballpark of about 25% after deductions. So your total estimated take-home pay is about $7,500 a year for this work. Okay, so let's go down to the desk job. This is a job you've taken that you're not passionate about. You like arts administration, but it's a straight up $20 an hour job to pay the bills. I'm going to clear that one out. Working 32 hours a week, 32 weeks a year during the school year, and it's 20 hours a week, no extra prep time. And what you'll notice here is that as we enter data, I've made it trigger in green the highest areas in each column. So you work the most, so far out of these two jobs, you work the most hours in your desk job, but you make the most money in the USA Symphony Orchestra. Um, However, with that said, your estimated take-home pay is higher because you're working a great deal more with this desk job. Okay, so let's go down to the private teaching, which you love to do, and you've established a rate of $80 an hour. You teach for 30 weeks a year, and let's remember that between the summer and holidays, you're gonna lose about 20 to 22 weeks a year just due to students having lives outside of their lessons. So I think 30 is usually a good number to think about. You have 10 students a week. There's no extra prep for this. But you can start to see here now, of course, it's moved again. Your hourly rate is 80. It's by far the highest, even with taxes taken out. And your estimated take-home pay is $18,000. One of the things that I talk about, let's go down to the next one, is finding things that you're passionate about outside of your career, your specific career path. These pickup jobs like web design, basically anything that you can do in a freelance basis on your own time. Web design is the one that comes to mind most. You let's say you develop some skills in web design, you can build those relationships with customers on your own time outside of the USA Symphony Orchestra work or your desk job, and it creates a lot of flexibility for you to do work, to do the things that you like most or like doing most, like either your private teaching or the orchestra gig. So with that, you've established an hourly rate of $50 an hour. Right now, you're working about 20 weeks a year, and you figure it's about 10 hours, 10 hours per week. So while you're not making the most, you are, making about comparable to what you've been making with the USA Symphony Orchestra. And then finally, we have the local Pops Orchestra, which you should be passionate about because you're playing your instrument, but in fact you're not. It is one of those soul-sucking gigs that you do because it brings in some money and it's not satisfying at all or fulfilling. Nonetheless, you're getting paid $60 an hour, and there are 5 weeks a year, and each time there's 10 hours worth of work, and the drag here really is that you spend about 8 hours in the car. So 8 hours in the car for each week that you're performing. Okay, so that's where we're going to end our little sample here, and I just want to talk to you about how to make some decisions once you have the data listed. And I want to remind you, this is just these are broad strokes. You don't have to be super specific here. This is just to give you a ballpark about how you're spending your time to make your money. So if you look here, down on the bottom, we have our estimated salary, annual salary of $46,000 a year. And what I've done is I've taken all of these rates that you charge, or the established hourly rate, and average them out for you. And there's an average estimated hourly rate of $39 an hour. So what does that mean? I think what is particularly helpful here is that you can start to make decisions about where your money comes in the future. So let's say that you realize that, in a perfect world, you realize, oh, I only need $40,000 to live a year or to make ends meet. So I could actually let the Pops Orchestra go altogether and still come out ahead. We know that that's actually, it's not that easy. So I think the challenge here is to both look at the things that are that you're not passionate about. In this case, the Pops Orchestra and the desk job. By far, you make the least amount of money in the desk job, but it's the most consistent and the most hours worked. Um, so it's something that you might hold on to for a little longer. I think your goal is to figure out how to let that pops orchestra go the quickest. And for me, so let's just play this out for a second. Let's say our goal is $46,000, and you look at all of the things that you're doing. The most obvious thing is to pick up some extra private students, right? So let's figure out how many extra private students. Right now you have 10 a week, and let's see if we move this up to 15 a week. What does that do to our? Yeah, so already, if we just move up to 5 extra hours of teaching students a week, it's kicking our overall income for private lesson instruction up by several $1,000s, more than offsetting almost 9,000, actually exactly $9,000. So more than accounting for this pops orchestra that you're doing. So potentially you could actually take this out altogether, and you're still coming out around $5,000 ahead in this scenario. So I think the challenge here is to really look at what levers you can pull to figure out, what will help you create a work-life balance, but also give you information so that you can plan for the future. And the final thing I'll say here is that this is actually not for the immediate change. This is for a change over 12 to 36 months. You want to make these changes slowly and incrementally. For example, if you all of a sudden took on 5 new students and felt like you had to keep the Pops Orchestra for the year, you might be overwhelmed with time. And time is actually probably more valuable, in my opinion, as valuable, if not more valuable, than the amount of money that you're making in income from week to week. So that's this little simple worksheet in a nutshell. If you have questions, please leave comments below. I'd love to help you out in any way I can. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope this was helpful. Have a great day.